Setting up an agency VCM website. This is an administrative responsibility. As we've said before, the key to successfully using case management software is analyze your agency's goals for providing services to your community and then recording and reporting data for those services. The virtual case manager will allow you to create custom programs and services, which we're going to deal with today, staff, roles and staff, client profile fields, and even custom forms that match your agency's goal. The VCM administrator has access to tools needed to set up your agency's site. We're going to work with program sources and agency services today, and shortly we'll log into the VCM to demonstrate those. Now, up to date, we have worked with agency details, system preferences, staff security roles, and staff. So you can go back and look up those videos and watch those if you need further instruction or review. Today, we're going to work with program sources and agency services. Again, these are admin functions. So we will log on to the virtual case manager, which I'm going to do right now. And again, you cannot see the password. It's hidden, but it is there. And so this is the one of the main pages that would show up according to which license you have. But the main thing is that you have the administrative tab up here. And as we discussed earlier, that if you're an administrator and you have that administrative role, this tab will show up. But if you're not an administrator, then this tab does not show up. This is a security feature. Not everyone needs to be able to get into the program. We're going to click on this, and this comes up in two parts, administrative tools and reports, which we've looked at before, and there are many reports that show up down through here. There'll be another video that discusses reporting. So we've talked about agency details and we've talked about staff security roles, and system preferences. Today, we're going to look at program sources. I'm going to click on program sources. And we have, in this particular demo agency, quite a few different program sources set up. A program source will create program names that will allow you to group services together. So we clicked on program sources here. It's going to go to a page like this, and it's simply a name. You can categorize your services under certain names, which make them easier when you go to apply those services and record them for a client. Basically, it's done this way. Again, we've said before that if you have this orange button, that's usually where you can add something. And I'm going to add a new program source, and you have to kind of scroll down. Many of these, if they're in a pink color, they are no longer active. These are active services in this particular agency that you see through here. But down at the bottom is a place where you just simply put a name. And I'll put a name, Food Pantry. I'll save that name, and we will see that Food Pantry shows up right here. Now, all of these, you'll notice that under different program source names, there are services that are associated with that name. Community outreach. There's a construction AP service, mentoring, wellness activities, different pre-test and post-test. Family counseling has family abuse counseling, financial classes, and so on and so on and so on. So at this point, under Food Pantry, there are no agency services that are associated with that. But this is a good overview so you can see what services are associated with what programs. And this is sort of a reference sheet. So all we did was click on program sources. This comes down to service program sources, and you should put a name here for a particular program. Many agencies will have programs like maybe a food pantry, clothing is another general program, transportation expenses would be maybe another program, counseling services would be another program, and then associated with those would be different specific services that you're going to record for a client. The next thing we're going to look at are actual agency services that we're going to create. And we're going to go to a page that shows us agency services. And you can see inactive services and active services. If you click on, check that button and click on this page, it will show you all the services. Now, we don't make any services. We do not delete services, because that service may have been previously used in a report. And so we want that service previously to be there, but now it is not. But if I click on this, I went to agency, I went to agency services, this page comes up. If I want to see any services that are inactive, as soon as I click it, you can see that there's been a lot of, for this has been a demo agency, so that's why you see so many. And you can make them active simply by clicking on the, again, the edit button for many things is a notepad with a pencil on it. And if I click on that, I'll just take this one as an example. I'll show you what this all means, but down below is a button to reactivate this service. And then you save and continue. So we're going to go back to agency services. And I'll just pick out this one. Again, I'm going to use the icon to let me edit this. And on this particular service, there is a drop-down list. This is a federal taxonomy of different types of services that are used. And it's really only used at this place. It's not really used too many other places in the program, but again, it's a general category. But the actual name of this service in this particular case is family of 1 or 2 persons. And so this is a food service. And these are all of the different programs that had been listed. So I want to associate this service with 2 different programs. One's called Family Network, and the other one's called Test Food Program. Now, I will fill those in. I'll check mark them as I have. And an important part of services is the unit of measurement. Every service, when you record it, must be recorded with a unit of measurement. For example, in this case, it's a family of 1 or 2 persons, and the unit of service is going to be boxes of groceries. It could have been bags of groceries, pounds of groceries, but it's got to be a number for every service. If you have an internal code for that service, you can put it here. If this service is for internal tracking only, in other words, only your agency sees it, it's not to show outside of your agency to other VCM agencies, you would check mark this. You would write out a description, and this is really important for future staff so that they can see what this service is actually described to do. This is a box of groceries. These are the things that it would contain in there: a head of lettuce, and additional if available. And if there are any restrictions on this service, in this case, this agency said the person that's receiving this must be a resident of a local county and must be accompanied by an adult. And they're saying there are no fees. There may be some forms that are associated with this service, and you would check one of those. For example, in some states, there is a required take-home food form. And I'm just going to view this to show it to you. And this is the particular client, a name on this client. But this take-home food form, every year this gets updated internally within our program. This is a government guideline for figuring household size and poverty levels. So with this, our program will figure out at what stage a client is in. They may have a household size of 5 and then get a yearly income of this amount, which is a monthly year income of this and a weekly. And maybe in your agency, you say, well, if they're making this much, they're entitled to so many boxes of groceries and so on. Now, if you have a signature pad and this form comes up, you can actually sign it and it will show on the signature pad, and it'll even show a date, and it shows additional dates of when other services were provided, like on the 12th or the 21st or so on. So I'm going to move back to the virtual case manager. And again, you can set a level of visibility. This is a private service seen only by my agency, or maybe it can be a public service, which would be seen by other VCM agencies. Food services, a lot of times, are public. You want a group within an area of agencies to be able to actually see a client and if they've been provided a particular food service, so that other agencies can reply to this client accordingly. Now, if you want to remove this service, you click here and then you have to confirm it and then you save it. We're not going to confirm it. Now, what I'll do real quickly, agency services, is I'm going to go to right here. And if I want to add a new service, I'll click it. And what kind of service am I going to add? Well, I'm going to add something that has to do with clothing. And I'm going to call it clothing closet. And this is going to be part of the family network. And the unit of measurement is, I'll just use a pound sign, number of articles of clothing. No internal code. I'm not going to check mark this service for internal. I want this to be seen. And restrictions, I'm just making this up, must be resident of our zip code area. No fees. And there's not going to be any forms that need to be associated with this, so I will simply save and continue. Now, the name of this service is Clothing Closet. I will save it. And here is Clothing Closet. Here is that service. So now I've created a program which I've associated that program with this service that's under sources. Here's a description for it, and here's the clothing closet. And this is a reference sheet that you can use when you're creating a program or a service that allows you to kind of step down through here to make sure that you're filling in all the correct information at different points. Later, we'll show you how this is applied to a client. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to learn about program sources and agency services. These are numbers that you can use to call us if you need support, or you can type this in as an email address for support. Thank you very much.